Okay, so it is a quarter past, so we are going to look at the next round. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we are talking about the how. That's the we talked about the reason why and the what, and now we're going to talk about the how. So we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when created them. It's a very good quote from one of our elders. He has been there. Although I understand that he didn't become that old. He was quite young when he died. So, but he was very wise with all these expressions, and especially, with how are we going to look into what can we do and how can we do it. So, Viola, and she's a great mentor for me. So, really, really happy that you're here. Award-winning transcultural psychotherapist, breathwork trainer, holistic business consultant, and global mentor. The matriarch of Grit Academy, not a matriarch here. She's the president of Global Mentoring Network, thought leader and teacher of the Wise Move Society, continues to pioneer emotional well-being, intergenerational dialogue, and inclusive leadership, and she's empowering future change makers to lead with soul, resilience, and vision. And today she's going to talk about the legacy of presence, mentoring across generations for a conscious future. Viola, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Here we go. Well, let's take a deep breath from the nose, inhaling from the nose, exhaling from the nose. When we speak about mentoring, we often imagine guidance that moves in one direction, from the experience to the beginner. But mentoring, in its truest essence, is circular. It's not about hierarchy, it is about humanity. It is a meeting point of souls, a dialogue of awareness that flows both ways. When we give and receive, teach and learn, breathe and listen together. Throughout my life, from Iraq to Lebanon, from Venezuela to Cyprus, I have been mentored by life itself, and also by many mentors. And each mentor, whether elder or younger, mirrored something within me that was waiting to be awakened. That is the mystery of mentoring. It does not impose form, it evokes essence. It calls forth the part for us that remember who we truly are. True mentoring begins with presence. When I'm truly present with another person, not as a title, not as an expert, but as a human, something sacred unfolds. The air shifts, the heart opens, the unspoken become possible. And that is where transformation begins. In this era of rapid change and constant noise, presence itself has become revolutionary. We live in a time when people are more connected than ever, yet often feel unseen, unheard, misunderstood. Mentoring restores the ancient rhythm of human connection, a rhythm where every story matters. As Mama Yvonne always tells us, every silence has a meaning, and every generation carries a gift for the other. To mentor across generation is to build a bridge of empathy, a bridge that honors both the wisdom of age and the vitality of youth, because the future is not something we hand over, it's something we co-create together. When experience meets innovation, when reflection meets curiosity, we weave a future that is not only intelligent but conscious. In my work around the world, I have seen that what people long for most is not an advice, but is resonance. They don't want to be told what to do, how to do, who to be. They want to be seen, heard for who they really are. This is the heart of mentoring, to witness potential until it believes in itself, to see beyond roles, beyond titles, beyond generation, and meet the person behind the story. I often say mentoring is not a transaction, it is a transmission. It transmits values, courage, clarity, emotional literacy, the invisible threads that hold humanity together. And it reminds us that emotional wealth is the ability to connect, to regulate, to care. It's not an accessory to leadership, it is leadership. So, if we want to contribute to a global change, we must mentor not only with our mind, but with our heart. We must model the kind of presence we want the next generation to inherit, a presence rooted in compassion, inclusivity, and awareness. So let's be daring to slow down. Always Ingun tell me that to slow down, so I listen. By offering our listening as a gift, by embracing technology not as a barrier, but as a bridge to keep the wisdom alive, by reminding each other that emotional wealth, our capacity to feel, to empathize, to connect, is the most sustainable currency of all. Let us be the mentor who breathe humanity into progress. Let us create spaces where the young and the wise can co create a future that remembers the heart. For the future we dream of will be built not by power, but by presence, not by competition, but by connection, not by fear, but by love. And that, my dear friend, is how our collective wisdom becomes a global change. Thank you so much for this space. And as we move forward together, let us remember every generation carried a note in the symphony of humanity. When we breathe with awareness, we connect breath to breath, story to story, heart to heart. Mentoring is that sacred breath between souls, a reminder that wisdom is not meant to be kept, it is meant to be shared. May we continue to walk, teach, learn, and lead with presence, because only when one of us breathes consciously, the whole world inhales hope. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Viola. Already so much wisdom has been shared. And I constantly think when I hear you talk and also the others is, oh, I'm going to rewatch the recording tomorrow and the day after because there is so much shared. And that is what I like about, these short bits. It's not about I give you 45 minutes because we will talk 45 minutes, but it is about that short moment that you get and that you are able to share that wisdom. And I loved what you're saying, especially in the combination of the different generations that we can mentor them and be mentored. It is circular. It is a meeting of the souls. Wow, wonderful. Thank you, Viola. And we're moving to the next one. Um, and that is so, okay. And that is Bridge Bali. Um, I pronounced it right, I think. So, and I'm really, there is so much information in my screen that I don't know anymore how to get it in a position that it is not on top of everything that I've been writing. So, not yet in the breakout sessions. No, 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 no. Here, the power of intergenerational synergies, bridging generations to shape a visionary future. And I think there's already some words that recognize or that go with the story of Viola. So, Bridge Bali, matriarch in education and workforce development, founder of International Talent Hub, bridges the wisdom of experience with the innovation of the youth. He's an author and just published his last book, Inspires Action Through Empathy and Vision, nurturing environments where collaboration thrives, legacy is honored, and the next generation is empowered to lead with purpose. A lot of information yet. So, Bridge, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ingun. I definitely admired every speaker, and Viola talked about heart to heart, and Edward talked about the 5 generations. So I will be short of what I can share, but I'm sure we will all complement each other. I will share my slide. Today, I'm going to share with you the power of intergenerational conversation and really through bridging generations. This has been my journey over 40 years, all the way from an island called Zanzibar in East Africa, Indian family, going into Europe, and then coming into North America, and working with multi-generations, intergenerations. And today, this is my story together into what I call my book. So as we proceed into trying to move the slide, as we heard from Edward earlier and from others, we are today, for the first time in history, faced with 5 generations within one workforce, whether it's a workforce with an employer or whether it's a workforce with volunteering. We have a diversity of age. We have a diversity
Bridge,
of
can
thought.
I just stop you one moment? We don't see the slides. Move to the next one.
Can you see this one?
We still are looking at the first one.
Okay, I'm moving to the second one now.
No,
No,
it stays
very
there.
straight.
Maybe restarts.
Okay, I'll stop the sharing. Sorry about that.
Mhm.
And let's go again. Is that visible?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm moving to the next slide now. This is where, okay, is this
Yes.
visible?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I will recap. We are talking about 5 generations today. We heard earlier Edward talking about it. We are other speakers. This is the first time in history that we are facing this. I have lived in the workforce for over 40 years. I've seen myself with 2 generations and then 3 generations and then 4 and now 5. There is a diversity of age. There is a diversity of thought. I'm a professor at a college and I teach these different generations who come together and I see their diversity of thought. Deloitte did some research and they looked at age diverse teams and they saw a lot of resilience and innovation. When we look across the world, what's happening, places like Japan and European Union are talking about reverse mentorship and lifelong learning. North America is talking about digital divides and AI adaptation. Africa and Asia is talking about youth innovation and social impact. And OECD in its 2024 report is talking about cross-generational dialogue accelerates innovation ecosystems. So my book has covered several parts of this aspect of bridging and conversations intergenerationally, but it provides a blueprint for intergenerational synergies. It also explores AI-driven upskilling and reskilling. It also highlights case studies from around the world, and then, of course, talks about transitioning from managing to bridging generations. When we talk of intergenerational conversations, as we have heard from previous speakers also, it is really turning the they into we, compressing decades into minutes, trading experience for innovation, and converting curiosity into shared wisdom. We heard that from Viola just recently and other speakers. But what is the best part of intergenerational conversation? It is a two-way transformation if we have 2 parties. If we have more parties, then it's a multi-way transformation. But it's an experience where usable wisdom and fresh perspective become new possibilities. When generations talk with each other, and the word is with each other, you get shared ownership of the future. And when generations connect, innovation becomes inevitable. So in a few ways, I definitely explored these through my research and through my different engagements, and I see a few ways that intergenerational conversations show up through time-compressed learning, through bias breakers, through innovation sparks, through continuity with momentum, and of course, with belonging and purpose. And when generations listen, wisdom scales and innovation accelerates. Today, I have many quotes in my book and in my speaking engagements, but success in a multi-generational workplace isn't about changing people, but changing how we connect with each other. That's a copy of my book, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bridge. So you were the first one who really did it fast. So that's good. Thank you so much. There's a lot of food for thought there, and I really, really agree that this is something we really need to work on. To bring those generations together. And the thing is, when Akot joined us. And I'm still trying to remember what her generation is called. She would be that sixth generation, when she's joining that workforce.
It's Alpha.
It's the Alpha generation.
Yeah, and that's the fifth generation.
Yeah.
But you are right, Ingun. Not only was I trying to compress what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to repeat what others had already said. So
Yeah.
as we progress through this series, definitely there will be overlaps, but we also can avoid some overlaps. I heard some fantastic, insights from others. So I tried to avoid repeating the same things.
Well, the thing is, repetition,
Yeah.
really stucks into. So it's
Yeah.
good, and it is an important topic. So thank you so far, and really hope that you stay to join in the conversations as well. So I am moving to also someone who speaks actually, at most of our roundtables or conversations is Tatiana. She's also been she joined the Wise Move Society also as one of our thought leaders, as we call it, and teachers, very wise on these topics. So she's a social gerontologist and psychologist, academic with expertise in personal leadership development, a member of the Henley Center for Leadership. Research focuses on adult development and career transitions, aging and longevity, and multi-generations at work. Author of Personal Leadership Development in the Age of No Retirement. Qualified executive coach and coaching supervisor by Henley Business School, University of Reading, the UK. So the topic, Tatiana, thriving with age, wisdom and personal leadership for complex times. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ingun. Thank you, everyone, for joining the conversation. I was reflecting this morning, where should I start to have like 5 minutes on that? And I think I will start from where I started with this topic. I've been looking into aging for the past 20 years, so clearly a concern of mine from a very young age on what would happen in the future. And there are two things I learned. First is that the way we live, who we are today, has been shaped by what happened before. We are a product of our own lives. And we're not trapped by it. We have choice. We can accept the past and move forward differently, but we are shaped by our past. And that insight helps us to always think about the future. We can always shape the future because we have that power. The way that we used to live before, and Mary Jane, you mentioned that, work, retirement, study, work and retirement, it no longer fits. Actually, since the 1980s, we know that no longer fits, and a long time has passed. So it's really important that we accept we gain a different stage of life from midlife onwards, like a second adulthood or a third adulthood, depending what we've done before. A time that we have agency, to make changes and to make things happen. It's interesting that those changes require us to look at ourselves, to look at our context, understand who we are in this world, so we can take us forward in what we want to achieve, what contribution we want to give, and what we want to take out of life as well. Because I think we should take out of life as well as give to life and give to others. And one of the things today from listening to different conversations that really struck with me, and I noted that it was not on my plans to talk about that, is language. Is choices we make in relation to language. So I heard a couple of comments, and I'm not going to say from whom, things like, I can no longer do this, but then I do that instead. Or even at this XYZ age, I'm still seeking this and finding this. And I immediately thought, oh, we are talking here about inclusivity, productivity, happiness, and contribution, but we're aging ourselves with our language. We're choosing a language that's already excluding us from that bigger picture. So for me, if we're going to start changing anything in the world, is by start changing the way we talk about ourselves. That's an easy change. Is selecting how we place ourselves in the context, how we place ourselves in the whole. And therefore, we start shifting the perceptions. Once we start talking about ourselves in action terms, action will happen. Action will follow from there. And it's interesting because that goes to everything. And it goes to what we want to do with our wisdom and what we want to do with our own barriers and losses that we acquired along the way. And how can we make a change to the life of others, to the next generation of midlifers, old lifers, or whatever we want to call it, but the ones that are coming through the pipeline. I write in my book about leadership, and it's very interesting. I teach 18-year-olds and I teach people in midlife. And I always say to my 18-year-olds, I have the most interesting subject you might want to learn. And I say, it's not leadership, it's aging. And they all look at me like, oh, what are you talking about? And I say, no, don't look deflated. If you learn how to lead yourselves, you get the most out of it. But you need to learn. So you learn to be they go to a business school, I work in a business school, you come here, you learn to be a business person, a manager, but no one teaches you to be the CEO of self. CEO of Self Inc. You are driving your agenda. You're working on you're the CFO working in the finance department. You're the occupational health working on your health. You are the marketing, putting yourself out there in the market. You are there to drive you. Just as we drive businesses, we drive ourselves. And it's really important for that personal leadership. Leadership starts with us. Leadership starts by driving our agenda into the future. So when I look at the world outside, I feel very positive, but I have a bias towards positivity. So you have to stop me if I'm too positive. But I can see change happening. It's slow, but it is happening. And I think the more we talk and the more we teach and the more we educate others, the more we can shift that dial and create opportunities or a society that's more inclusive to all of us, contributing our own unique way as the years goes by. So I'll finish there because I can open up a whole other canon, the thread of talk, but I'll keep within time. Or do I have more time? No, don't let me open. Ingun, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get on the next point and put here on my notepad. But thank you.
Yes, yeah, I know. And there's also for you so much wisdom that you can share. So I always love to listen to you. And it's also always based on, you know, it's research. It is, you know, what is really happening in the world. But we also talked in the past. We talked a lot about, you know, there's a lot of research that is being done, but where is the action? You know, that is really also again what we are going to look at later in this. On this at this round table. So thank you again, Tatjana. I loved some of the expressions that you choose and that you used, and your words. That is the very strong. You know, even that I am already quite long in this line of, you know, this field of whatever you call it, the older people, the elderly, you know, you can already have endless discussion on how we're going to call ourselves. But also, you know, and I sometimes I hear myself talk and add those little words. I'm still doing this. I am just doing, you know, those that you feel like, oh, don't do this. It's yeah, and I see others, you know, nodding. So I'm not the only one. So thank you again, Tatjana. We've been talking in this round about mentoring, about intergenerational conversations, about personal leadership, because that's most important, personal leadership. So